have Chapter 7 review page we're going to go over. Then we'll do our beginning words, vocab words for Chapter 8, and we'll read Chapter 8 today. So go ahead and get your page ready to go. You had quite a few sections for homework, but they weren't too long in each one, okay? So let's go to the describe it. How would you describe that feeling that Marty got? Remember Darlene's walking up the hill and Marty sees her? How would you describe that feeling? Giving it a good detail. How would you describe it? Amelia?
I think he feels a little worried and scared because she probably is going to tell Mom about Shiloh.
So he might be feeling worried and scared because Darlene's going to tell Mom probably. We inferred that she would tell based on her age, right? Wonderful. Claire?
He was like scared and nervous and he's like thinking fast and getting excuses to say.
He was thinking of excuses already, right? He was thinking of, oh yeah, I'm looking for the snake, right? He was looking through all those examples. Micah?
I don't think he was scared, but I think he was thinking ahead because he said he was going to find himself a snake stick.
So he was.
He asked and he said he already had it on the hill, and he talked about a ton of snakes up there. So I think he wasn't worried.
So you think he's kind of prepared, feeling prepared for it?
Yeah.
Ooh, changing it up. Adam?
Kind of like players, but worried because it's basically just like players.
Just like Claire's. So way to use Claire's example, though, and going off of her. I love that. Lizzie?
Oh no, I'll get in trouble if she finds out about Shiloh.
He might be feeling like worried, like I'm going to get in trouble, right? Mom and Dad are going to be mad because if she tells them, if they find out. Brooke?
I think he's like a little bit of scared and anxious too.
Anxious? Why do you think anxious?
I think anxious more like is because anxious is technically like another word of saying worried. But
Worried.
Also, I think it's more like that because he has a lot of pressure on him because he doesn't like lying and he's getting really confused.
Yeah.
But
I like that. He's starting to feel the pressure, right? Like it's getting closer. People are starting to kind of be worried about it, right? Maddie?
I think he's like really scared because Darlene almost saw Shiloh, and if she saw Shiloh, he would tell her mom, and the mom would probably get rid of Shiloh.
That would be the end of the book. Oh, that would be so sad. Rosie? Using the body senses, like his heart is thumping out of his chest. That's an awesome. Imagining you are him. How would you feel? Your heart starts to pound. Maybe you're a little sweaty, right? Like nervous, sweaty. Like, ooh. Holly?
But like he started talking about snakes, and Darlene might not try to come up the hill.
So, because he used what Darlene knows, right? He's like, oh, Darlene doesn't like snakes. So if I tell her there's a whole bunch of baby snakes, she's going to run the other way. Yeah. How many of you would do that to your siblings? To use what they don't like to be like, yeah, you don't want to come up here. All right. Then we had the reactions part, okay? Reactions. So you were pretending you were Marty. How would you react to this? What would you do? That's a reaction, okay? What would you do? Judd picks him up or picks you up in the truck and keeps asking about Shiloh. What would you do if you were in that truck? What would you do? Thomas?
I would be like, I would lie because like I haven't seen him around. I've been looking for him while I've been on my dad's mail route.
So you would come up with more lies to kind of get him off of the subject, okay? What would you do? I got the same friends. So let's go, Maddie.
I just have a question. Didn't Judge pick him up in chapter 6?
He did, but just using kind of the scenarios. Still, how would you react to it?
I would react concerned because, well, a little concerned because he just like picked me up and just asked me.
Yeah, you're like concerned, like he's kind of almost going out of his way to do this, it seems like, right? Like maybe he knows something? I don't know. Christian?
Maybe a little scared because he keeps asking all these questions and you have to die, so if you find out, he will hurt him more.
Okay, so hold on. That's a feeling. Let's think through. What would you actually do? That's the reaction part. What would you do if he's asking you these questions?
I would yell stranger danger.
Just yell stranger danger and run away. Holly?
I would ask, like, if I find him, can I have him?
Could I ask him, like, well, if I find him, do you really want him back? Peter? You just get out of the car and be like, I'll walk from here. Just get out. All right, let's go on to the other one. David. Remember, David's asking you if he can come up on the hill. And he keeps asking when he can come over. What would you do or say back to David? That's that reaction. What would you do? What would you do? Aiden? Say sure, but you got to walk all the way to my house. And it seemed like quite a while, wasn't it? Do you think David Howard would walk there? Probably not. Claire?
I would like distract them with something else fun, or say we're not allowed.
Keep distracting him, or say like, oh, we can't go there. Okay, Terry?
Maybe like my mom doesn't want us up there because it's ruining the grass.
Because it would ruin the grass. Ooh, trying to use mom as your excuse out of it. Rose?
And try to think of an excuse and say, my house is more, your house is way.
Your house has like so many more rooms, right? Like you have way more things to do here. Adam?
I would just say we have a really, really bad snake problem up there that my dad's trying to fix, so we probably.
So you'd use the Darlene excuse for David Howard too? Yeah. All right. But remember, does David Howard like snakes?
Yeah.
He does. Ooh, I like where you're thinking though. I like that. Brooke?
I think he would more like he would be
No,
kind of.
what would
like,
you do? What would you do?
I would be a little surprised. Then I would be, still trying to like distract him from the subject.
So do we all kind of agree we would kind of distract him and try and change the subject?
Lie.
Would anybody invite him over and say, sure, come on over and see the dog?
No.
You would, Amelia and Micah?
I would do it. We would have to make a policy that to not tell anyone.
To not tell
I would try to trust
anyone.
the rich kid.
You would try and trust him? Micah?
I'd say that they're like, that his dad's like fertilizing the yard so that they can't play.
Ooh, you use so that's kind of like off of Adam's, right? Using dad as your reason this time instead of mom. I know there's a whole bunch of reactions because each of you are so unique. Okay. Last homework part you had was the stop and jot. How long do you think Marty can keep Shiloh up on the hill? Why? How long? Ryan, what are you thinking?
Maybe just a couple more weeks because he might be running out of ideas to try to get food for Shiloh.
Not just ideas. What else might he be running out of? Money, right? Did he use all his money from collecting cans? Yeah, and that took him a while to build up, so maybe only a few more weeks, you thought? All right. Lily?
I said not much longer because he's kept him up there for like so long that someone's gonna be like, okay, what are you doing?
What are you doing, right? Like, he keeps disappearing outside every night. Like, what's going on? Lizzie?
Not much longer because the person who doesn't have Shiloh don't come into the collection.
Maybe. Does anyone think he's going to be able to keep Shiloh for a long time?
No.
Does anybody? Isaac, you do?
Yeah, because he keeps eating.
He keeps getting food for Shiloh, so Shiloh's probably stay there as long as Shiloh wants, right? As long as he's got food, Shiloh will be happy. Does anyone else think he will keep the dog for a while? He's going to be able to? Peter, you do? Because it's Dad's property, so can other people just roam onto it? Judd can't even without whose permission? Their families. Anyone in the families who... Aiden? And we'll go up on the hill. What a fabulous full sentence answer. Nice job.
And like Darwin doesn't know about it. So.
Who would he ask for permission? Who would Judd ask? Would he ask Darlene?
No, Dad.
Dad or Mom? It comes down to the grown-ups, okay? All right, I know there's a whole bunch of ideas you got for that. I love your creativity. But we only have a few minutes before we go on to Spanish, so let's look at our words to know for today. We have a word. It starts with a Q underneath there. It's called quail. Can you say that with me? Quail. A quail is a small, wild bird. Yeah, it's almost like Probably about the size of like a dove, maybe a little smaller even.
I know it's so
Okay. All right, and then our bottom one is remedy. Remedy. Nope, remedy. A remedy is a way of solving or correcting a problem. Like if you have a headache, a remedy might be to take some Tylenol or some medicine, right? If you are cold, a remedy might be to put a blanket on, right? Okay. All right. So we've got some different parts. During this chapter, you're going to have to visualize a scene. Do you know what I mean by a scene? A little part of it, okay? And you're going to draw. Notice it's not very big. Do I expect color in there, do you think? No. Would it be nice?
Yes.
Oh, it'd make my heart so happy. But can you do a sketch like this, being like, there's a hill and there's Marty?
No.
Is that a 4th grade level work?
Because he would just
Okay.
do like any, but you can still do stick.
I would prefer if you try and do a little bit of a sketch of a person, okay? Or at least add clothes to your stick people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to look at Marty's mom after this chapter, so start thinking about Marty's mom as we're reading. And then I have 3 comprehension questions that'll be part of your homework after, and a stop and jot, okay? Lily?
I found something out about Mary's mom. I know, well, in the chapter 6 or 5, it says her name.
It did. Did you catch mom's name? Lou. Lou. So mom's name is Lou. Do we know dad's name?
Yeah, right.
And Ray. Good.
Blue and red.
All right. So we last left chapter 7, remember? And Darlin was coming up the hill, and then Marty pushed her away, right, saying, oh, all the snakes are here. And Marty was like, do I even want to go to heaven if Shiloh can't go? Right? He's like, if Shiloh can't go to heaven, what's the point? That's kind of extreme, isn't it? Do you think dogs can go to heaven? I like to think so, too.
Dogs also have their own heaven.
Okay.
Probably.
All right. Here we go. Chapter 8. Mine starts on 74.
Same.
Next 2 days go by smooth as buttermilk. Shiloh gets biscuits or toast and a couple bites of ham for breakfast. And then in the evening, I fix him up some frankfurters. Remember, what are those? Hot dogs. Cut up and mixed with sour cream and little chunks of cheese. He don't much like the cheese. It sticks to his teeth and he turns his head sideways when he chews, trying to get it off. Licks his chops afterward, though. He throws up the first time he eats the stuff. Too rich for his belly, I guess. But after that, he manages to keep it down. And all the while, he's fattening out a little. Each day, it's harder to see his ribs. I know my secret can't go on forever, though. Only had the dog for 6 days. And that evening, I find out that Judd Travers wants to hunt on our land, up the hill, over far in the far woods. Thinks maybe he could find himself some quail over there, he says. When Dad tells us that piece of news at dinner, my whole body goes cold. I want to jump up and scream, no! But I just grip my chair and wait it out. Ray, I don't like that idea at all, Ma says. You never asked to hunt on his land, and I don't want him hunting on ours. If we let him, we gotta let anybody else who asks, and one of those shots could find its way down here. I'll tell him no, Dad says. Don't like the idea of it myself. I'll tell him the kids play up there. I stopped gripping the chair, but my heart still goes on thumping hard. I'm thinking how maybe Judd Travers has hold of the idea that I got his dog hid up there, and he's looking for an excuse to snoop around. Having Shiloh a secret is like a bomb waiting to go off. Next day, Dad comes home with more news. Good news to him, bad news to me. Can't figure it out, he says, walking through the door with a sack in his hands. Folks are taking to leaving me food in their mailboxes, Lou. Used to be just Mrs. Ellenson and her banana bread, but found me a ham sandwich today in Nora Klingle's box and half a baked pie in the Saunders. I look thin to you or something? Ma laughs. Maybe it's just you're the best mail carrier they ever had on the route. Well, we got half a pie for dessert tonight anyways, Dad says. Oh, brother, I tell myself. Maybe Mr. Wallace is doing more talking than I figured. He wouldn't come right out and tell folks I was in his store buying cheap food, but he might just pass it along that the Preston family's in hard times, and suddenly food starts appearing. That's the way it is here. The next day, Ma rides into town with Dad, taking the girls along, and goes shopping for new sneakers for Darlene and socks and underpants for Becky. First time I have the whole place to myself, and I let Shiloh run pure free. Bring him down the hill to the house, feed him the heels off a loaf of new bread, all the leftover sausage from breakfast, and a bowl of milk. Then I let him lick the oatmeal pan. Show him every one of our 4 rooms, hold him in my lap on the porch swing, and laugh when he tries to stand up on the seat himself while the swing's moving. I let him smell the couch where I sleep, and I crawl under the front steps to sniff out the mole that lives under there. Follow him all over creation when he takes out after a rabbit. Then he gives up when he sees I'm not going to shoot the rabbit, no way. But I figure my luck's going to run out if I don't get him back up to the pen soon. So about noon, I take him back, and he goes right to the gunny sacks in the lean-to. He's so tuckered out. It's just in time, because when I get back and get the dishes done for Ma, the house picked up some, I look out, and there she comes up the lane with Darlene and Becky and their packages. Somebody gave them a lift. You can always count on that around Friendly. Ma's pleased I got the dishes done, I can tell. Nice to come back to a clean house, Marty, she tells me. Had good luck with my shopping, too. Wasn't the thing I bought that wasn't on sale. Darlene's wore her new sneakers home and got a blister already, but she don't care. She's so glad to have something new. When I walk in the kitchen next, Ma's looking at her face in the mirror over the sink. Got her eyebrows raised high. Then she pushes them low, then raises them again. When she sees me studying her, she says, Marty, I got frown lines on my face. Tell me the truth now. I look at her good. Sure don't see any, I say. I don't either. Ma's got a pretty face. Plain, but smooth. Well, I don't either. But 2 people this morning asked me how I was feeling, and one of them wants to tell me what to take for headaches. I figured that if folks think I have headaches, I must be doing a lot of frowning. Womp, womp, womp. That's my heart. Folks think they got a remedy for something. They'll tell you whether you need it or not, I say. Sounds so grown up, I hardly recognize myself. So scared inside, though. My stomach's shaking. Why do you think everyone's asking about Ma's headaches?
Because they're eating bad food.
No, why? Think back to the last chapter. Why might they be asking about Ma's headaches? Micah?
Because Marty asked for like the frankfurters and sour cream and the cheese, and he Kirby passed it on, and now everybody Kirby thinks that they're the family secret, not Shiloh.
Maybe. That was a little bit before with Dad, right? Was that more with Dad's and food in the mailboxes?
Yeah.
Camille?
Because Marty told David that he couldn't, like, he can't come to his house because of Mom had.
Remember, David can't come over because Mom's got this horrible headache, right? Does she really? No, and now people are starting to talk, right? Saying, oh, I got a remedy for that. Mom's taking out all the things she bought and putting them on the table, taking the price tags off Becky's underpants and socks. I saw David's mother at the dollar store, she says, and they've got relatives coming in tonight. She wanted to know if she could bring David up here tomorrow when the rest of them go to Parkersburg. I told her yes. Okay, I say, but all the while I'm thinking what I'm going to do with David to keep him off that hill. Take him up toward the old Shiloh schoolhouse maybe, and walk along the river. Funny thing is, you've got yourself a dog, you sometimes feel like you don't need anyone else. You used to be I'd be waiting at the window for David Howard to come up here for a visit. Nobody else loves you as much as a dog, except your ma, maybe. That night, Ma makes us fried chicken for supper. First time in a long time. I put away a wing and a thigh on a saucer to eat later, I tell Ma, and add a spoonful of squash, which might be good for Shiloh's insides. He eats anything. The frankfurters and cheese and sour cream is all gone, so I gotta be watching for table scraps again and go out can collecting soon. Dad's working on the pickup after dinner, changing the oil. Becky and Darlene's turning somersaults in the grass, and Ma's cleaning the kitchen. Soon as her back is turned, I sneak the food off the saucer and head up the hill to see Shiloh. I can tell Shiloh likes the fried chicken better than he liked the sour cream frankfurter mess he'd been eating all week. He even eats the squash, and then he licks my hands and fingers to get all the salt off any place I touched a piece of chicken. Since I'd already taken him all over creation that morning, I don't feel he'll miss much if I don't take him out again. So I go around scooping up all the dog do, like I do every day, toss it over the fence, and then I lie down on my back in the grass and cover my face with my arms, our favorite game. Shiloh goes nuts trying to uncover my face, nudging at my arms with his nose, tail going 90 miles an hour. Never whines like some dogs do, though. Even when we're out in the far meadow racing the wind, he'll start to bark and say, shh, and I'll say, Shiloh, and he stops right off. Wish I could let him make a little noise. It's not natural, I know, to keep an animal so quiet, but he's happy quiet, not scared quiet. I know that much. I move my arms off my face after a while and let him rest his paws on my chest. And I'm lying there petting his head, and he's got this happy dog smile on his face. The breeze is blowing cool air from the west, and I figure I'm about as happy right then as you can get in your whole life. Then I hear someone say, Marty. I look up, and there's Ma.
I knew it.
Oh, so we kind of figured he wouldn't be able to keep it a secret much longer, right? Oh.
I said no.
Oh. All right. What do you think? Why does Judd want to hunt on their land? Think back to the beginning. Remember, Judd asked Dad, and Dad was like, I'll tell him no. Why does Judd want to hunt on their land? What do you think, Terry?
There's some things that, like, maybe if I get to go on the land, I might be able to find out.
Right? Maybe he can snoop around on their land a little bit more. What do you think Mom's reaction is going to be?
Like,
You think she's going to be mad? Yeah. What do you think, Rose?
I think she's gonna be like furious.
And a hush fell over the class.
I think she's gonna be furious on the outside, but like kind of happy on the inside because their kid is being responsible and taking care of a pet that the parents didn't.
So maybe a little conflicted, like mad, but kind of secretly proud a little bit. Ooh, Holly?
I think like Marty might ask her to keep it a secret too, and she might be able to like keep it a secret.
Do you think she would do that?
No,
Of
course not.
I don't think the mom's good would do that because she's just
Oh yeah.
she's the one that really said you can't have it.
So she kind of said from the start, right? Like, we can't take care of an animal. Maddie?
I think she's gonna be really mad because like all this time they've been saving leftovers and it's just been for the dog.
And it's been for the dog and Adam.
I think that like she'll ground him for like a year or two.
That long.
What? 12 6 years.
So ground him for a while because he kind of kept secrets from them, you think? Nice. All right, let's look at our page, 4th grade friends. Let's come down to the character analysis. We kind of have to infer a bit about Mom from this chapter. Okay? Think back to their shopping experience, too. Use that to kind of tell us more about Mom. What do we know about Mom so far? Lizzie?
This was kind of at the beginning, but he was kind of on like Marty's side, like saying that Jack hunting on our land is a bad idea.
So she wants to keep her family safe, right? She didn't want it to come down. So she wants to keep family safe.
Keep family safe.
What else do we know about Mom? What else, Lily?
She's really strict.
She is pretty strict, isn't she? Rosie.
She
She
said not a single thing from our shopping trip that I did get on sale.
So let's think of a little different word. I love that quote, but is she really cheap? Like, she's not buying it, right? Somebody who's cheap would be like, I'm not gonna buy it. What's a word that's really similar Do you know?
Money saver?
Like a money saver. Okay, so she is pretty. Have you heard of the word called like thrifty?
Yeah.
She likes to kind of use her resources and get things for cheaper. So she's thrifty. What else, Maddie? She's what? She's clean. She loves a clean house. Remember what she said to Marty? She's like, oh, thanks for doing the dishes. Like, it feels good to come home. She loves a clean house. Zane? She's poor. She's a little poor, right? Because she got everything on sale. It kind of goes with that thrifty one. Any other ideas you're Claire? Ooh. Right? She's like, I got a headache. Like, do I have wrinkle lines? She's kind of starting to be confused. Do you think she's kind of connecting the dots a little bit? Do you think so? So could we say she is a little clever?
Of course. Most moms are clever.
A lot of moms are clever.
And they're very, very cunning. And if you ever
Holly?
get mad,
What's her name?
Lou. We could add that. Marty's mom, we know her name is Lou. Not Cindy Lou. Just Lou.
My friend was Cindy.
Okay. All right. So then, fourth grade friends, your homework will be, let's go over it all first so you understand all the parts, please. Visualize a scene. There's a few good scenes you could draw. I'm thinking maybe towards the end is what I would start to do. That scene with Marty. Okay.
yes.
You have 3 questions. Why is Dad getting more and more food in the mailboxes? We kind of talked about this a little bit. Marty's mom buys everything on sale. What does that tell you about the family's money situation? And according to Marty, who loves you more than your dog? Who's the only other person that could maybe love you more? Think through.
I don't have it all.
And then stop and jot, and a hush fell over the class. Think through what did Marty say. And then, how does Marty know that the dog was happy quiet and not scared quiet? At that very end of the chapter, remember it said happy quiet, not scared quiet? How can Marty make that inference? How does he know the difference between those two quiets? Okay. We have a little bit of work time until Senora comes in. And my friends, thank you for joining us.